What's up guys? Welcome to another episode here on the Piscifun YouTube channel. Today's video is going to talk about a technique that I use all the time, especially this time of year, to catch some giant bass. Drop shotting is a technique that is ultra finesse and it can get you a lot more bites from big fish than you'd normally get using something like a Texas rig or a jig. Stay tuned, we're going to give you some tips and tricks on how to catch some giants using this finesse technique. If you guys are here from TikTok, make sure to go down below in the comment section and drop me a comment. I love hearing from all the folks who come over from TikTok. First things first, let's talk about what you need to get your drop shot set up. The first thing you do is make sure you have the right rod and reel set up for drop shotting. The Piscifun Serpent Series spinning rod, 7'2" medium light, is the perfect style rod to get the job done. When it comes to the reel, I like to use a Carbon X 2000 or 3000. This carbon reel is super lightweight and it's perfect for drop shotting all day and helps with great balance on your setup. Now the first thing you want to do is get a 12 to 15 pound braid and spool it up on your spinning reel. Then you want to grab your fluorocarbon. I use anywhere from 6 all the way up to 10 pound depending on the situation, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. Now it's extremely important to use a good knot when joining your fluorocarbon and your braided lines. Personally, I like to use an Alberto knot when I join these two lines. It's extremely strong and works extremely well. The knot you're going to use for a drop shot is going to be a Palomar. What we're going to do is we're going to pass the line through the hook and pull out the length that we want for our drop shot lead. Usually that's between 8 to 12 inches. Now we're going to pass that line back through the eye of the hook and we're going to pull that through like so. Once you've got enough line out for your lead, you're going to take this and you're just going to tie a regular Palomar knot. So you take it, pass it through like this, and then you're going to take your hook and pass it through that loop. Always make sure to wet the line before you cinch it down, so that way you don't damage it. There's one last step that we need to do to make our drop shot stand the way it's supposed to. So we're going to take our tag end line and we're going to pass it back through the eye of the hook like so. And then when we pull this, it's going to cause our hook to stand outward the way that we want it. See how that hook is now sitting outward and upward? Now we can put our bait on there and it's going to have a great action under the water. Now here's a pro tip on drop shotting, guys. I told you earlier we do anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, but sometimes the bait is higher in the water column, but you still want that bottom contact. So what you can do is actually take this leader and make it even up to 4 feet to really get your bait up and then have it fall back down. That's a super pro tip, guys, for drop shotting. Now the one we just tied is a traditional drop shot hook. This is going to be used in open water situations, meaning around rock, sand, stuff like that. But when we get around cover, this can get snagged pretty easily. So that's when we're going to switch over to the EWG hook that I have here. That will make the worm weedless and we can rig it Texas rigged on a drop shot. Now the same thing applies when it comes to your weights. This weight is better to be used around weeds and wood because it slides easily through it. While this weight has a nice round bell shape, which allows it to not get stuck between the rocks as you're drop shotting. So weeds and cover, rocks and sand. Now you'll see here at the top of these weights, there's cinch clips. That means what we need to do is tie a knot in the end of our line and we can actually slip the line right into the cinch clip and it'll hold it nice and tight. So this is what it'll look like when you're done. We've got our knot right here. We're going to slide it through and then we're going to press it up against the back and just slide it up so it'll end up sticking just like that. Next, let's talk about the baits that you're going to use in a drop shot and the different rigging styles for these baits. Now the first example of rigging your bait is just a typical drop shot worm with your open hook. All you're going to do is go in about 1/4 of an inch and pierce it through just like this. I really like to use floating worms because what happens is they actually hang out to the side like this while you're drop shotting. As you guys know, I truly love a Senko. So another great way to drop shot is to go ahead, fold that Senko in half and just put that drop shot hook right through the middle and it's going to be just like that. This one works great with that really long leader that I told you about because essentially you're wacky rigging but you're in super deep water. Now here we have our Texas rig. So what we want to do here is use some sort of a swim bait style bait. We're going to go ahead and we're going to rig it weedless for around weeds and cover. So what you want to do is you just want to take it and go about 1/4 inch into the nose of the bait. Always have the lighter underbelly facing towards the bend of the hook. Then we're going to pierce it through and we're going to spin it up onto the hook like this. Our last step is to bend the swim bait against the end of the hook, put it through, then all we're gonna do is we're gonna Texas rig it weedless like this. So underwater, it's gonna dance around and you're gonna actually be able to drag it through grass and around wood without that hook getting hung up because it's buried in the worm. This is great in lakes that have a lot of bait fish present that they're always chasing because they're gonna wanna follow this bait fish profile and it catches some truly giant largemouth and smallmouth. Now guys, this is probably the most important tip that I can give you when it comes to drop shotting. Most people who drop shot tend to overwork the bait. Now let me show you what that means. Now an overworked bait is gonna look something like this underwater. Because you're jigging so hard, it's gonna be very erratic, it's gonna look very unnatural, and a lot of fish are actually gonna swim right by it or just shy away from it. Now what you wanna do is actually a very subtle, maybe shaking 2 inches of the rod tip, and what you wanna do is actually have that bait go like this, really delicately underwater, because that's gonna imitate a bait fish swimming or staying in place. That is when you're gonna get your most bites. So never overwork the bait. Less is more when it comes to drop shotting. So let's talk about what to do when you're actually out drop shotting on the water. So first thing you wanna do is you wanna make mid-range casts. If you go too long, you're gonna end up not being able to pin that fish on the hook. So make mid-range casts or you're gonna drop vertically off of the boat. Now when you cast, leave your spool bail open. You want that line to come off freely so that your drop shot falls straight down. Oftentimes when you go to pick up, the fish is going to hit it right after it hits the bottom. Now, once your bait has reached the bottom, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna flip that bail closed and you're gonna tighten up your line, okay? So now you're gonna be able to feel that weight on the bottom. That's where we're gonna start our finesse shaking. So you're just gonna shake it really delicately. My hand and wrist are barely moving. Then you're gonna drag it about a foot or two and you're gonna shake it again. Typically, I shake it in place for about 15 to 30 seconds before moving. Now here is where people really mess up a drop shot and you're gonna wonder why you're missing so many fish. Traditionally, what do we do when we set the hook? We reel down and we jerk really hard, right? Well, drop shot again, guys, it's a finesse technique. So you wanna actually be very gentle. So all you're gonna do when you feel that little tap is you're just gonna lift your rod and you're gonna reel very quickly. What that does is it takes the tip of that hook and puts it right in the top of the inside of the fish's mouth, and it will be there every single time if you do it that way. If you jerk too hard, all it's gonna do is pull right through the skin of their mouth, and it's gonna feel like you lose the fish on every single bite. So make sure that you're delicate with your hook set, and it's called a reel set. So you're doing more work with the reel than you are with the rod.
There's one. Oh, there's one. Oh, dude, that's a good one. Oh, that is a good one. That is a giant smallmouth. Come on. That fish hit right when I was trying to tell you the type of jigging cadence to do when you're drop shotting. Now there's 2 types of drop shotting. You can shake it really rigorously, or you can swim it. And as soon as I changed my cadence and started to swim it, that brute ate. That is an absolute beautiful, beautiful giant smallie. Drop shot. What a stud. Check that one out, guys. Absolute giant on the Get Bit Finesse Worm. Drop shotting in 33 feet of water. Check out that stud. Drop shotting is truly an incredible technique. I can't tell you how many big fish in my fishing career that I have landed on a drop shot, just like this one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more awesome videos.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Head on over, check us out on Instagram, and hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you on the water next time.